Hi everyone, and welcome to my review of Dawn of the Planet of the Apes in 2014, of course directed by Matt Reeves. And here we are with the Blu-ray Steelbook, really amazing Steelbook here. I got this roughly, just after it came out on Blu-ray, and of course, yes, we're back with another review, of course, of the Planet of the Apes films in the series. Very soon, of course, we'll be reaching the end currently, and we'll be doing, of course, a ranking of all the films and stuff. And yeah, really look forward to that. Of course, everyone will know my least favourite, is the Tim Burton version. But yes, there'll be some kind of close calls, near the top of the list. And yes, this film is generally considered a great film by most people. There is a particular very interesting kind of hate for this film, and of course war that's not really present for Rise. I'm not too sure what's going on there. It's a particular hate, kind of a base that kind of targets this and the next one as well. But yes, generally they are very popular. They've done amazing at the box office, critically as well. This and War, kind of very acclaimed. And this is the only one that I saw. The only Planet of the Apes film I've ever seen at the cinema. So yeah, it's really interesting there. When I went to see it, I'd seen Rise, of course. Thought that was a very good / great. And I do definitely think it's great. Now I think the trailer looks really amazing for this, and I thought, wow, this could be really great. And I went to see it, of course. Invested, of course, as well in the whole timeline. I'd seen, of course, the original as well before Rise. I saw that when I was quite young, and I loved it, of course. It's one of my favourite films. And then I went to see this, and I was blown away. I really was. This is very popular for good reason. This, for me, and it's my opinion, is an absolute masterpiece. I think pretty much a perfect film. I think this is definitely a masterpiece. I think there's so many things about this that it just improves over the first. Rise, of course. I think really in every single way. Yes, the score is maybe not quite as good when listening to it on its own, but the way it's used in this film, and generally the sound design, no question, far better. I think as well, just everything about this, the acting, and the first thing I noticed about this is the filmmaking in general, the direction, cinematography. Yeah, I had some flaws with the first one, Rise, I think, in this trilogy, didn't quite reach its full potential, maximum potential. It wasn't a masterpiece for me as well. Some little, flaws here and there and stuff that wasn't mind-blowing in, the way it's shot in certain areas and stuff like that. This one was, it just is full commitment in the filmmaking, the kind of, the tone of the film, the atmosphere. It's all masterful, really. I think the acting as well, much better for me. Jason Clarke, of course, amazing in this film as Malcolm. Of course, Gary Oldman. Of course, he's great. He's pretty much great in everything I've seen him in. Not Tinker Tailor. Didn't like that film, and I didn't, care for that. But yeah, mostly he's amazing. Really great actor, of course. So there's no question there. He is amazing in this. He's kind of the leader, the main leader of the kind of humans that are trying to survive. This is set, kind of many years after the first Rise. 10 years after the virus, of course, has broken out. So you've got kind of in San Francisco, overgrown and everything. Everyone trying to survive there, the humans. And of course you've got the apes, led of course by Caesar. Andy Serkis, of course, once again, giving an absolutely masterful performance. It's absolutely stunning. Now the CGI is far better in this film. It really is. It has some slight flaws with the first one with the CGI, and actually for me, War improves massively as well. I think it's actually better than this in the CGI, and it's got a smaller budget than this one actually, and this one done better at box office, of course. But yes, this film, the CGI, the effects are masterful. They really are. Usually there's some flaws in CGI. I think practical effects are much better. And stuff. And yeah, usually there's always mostly some flaws in a lot of films. CGI. This one, very few. And War really for me is untouchable. You could say with the CGI. Some of the very best I've seen. So I was so impressed. When I saw this at the cinema, I was blown away. The way that this narrative is just so powerful, so perfectly realised for me, really. Then you don't even get talking about the action. The action in this film is absolutely masterful. It is mind-blowing action. The way, of course, these massive sequences that are kind of perfectly placed throughout, and you've got the blend with the drama, of course, and this film. It just commits in every way, far more than the first one did, as well. You've got the tragedy of this is far more powerful. This is very Shakespearean, in its themes, and its kind of its moments and the arcs, say of Koba, of course. Toby Kebbell, absolutely amazing in this film. These performances, really, really something else. And of course, you've got Caesar struggling within the apes, kind of an internal struggle, and then you've got them against the humans, and kind of working with them at the same time. So there's a lot going on in this film, and it feels like this kind of epic film, of course, and there's battles in it and everything. It really is just a masterpiece. Not for a single moment was I kind of disinterested. This is an investing film for me from start to finish. It's so creative in its set pieces. It's so perfectly edited, everything like this, and the sound design, the score is used wonderfully to give this operatic feel. You've got these moments within the action that are just mind blowing. They really are. These slow motion. It really is something else. You root for the humans, certain characters. You root for the apes, and it's just a film where they've both got flaws, and it's kind of about them trying to communicate, trying to work together. And of course, Gary Oldman, his character doesn't want this to happen really, and of course many are distrustful of the apes, and likewise the other way around. So it's kind of a balanced film in that sense. And then you've got Jason Clarke, who really wants to communicate and form a friendship and a kind of relationship with the apes. Caesar as well kind of wants this, but the struggles within his group, and it's very, very kind of very mixed emotions there. And it doesn't quite happen at first and everything. And it's throughout the film there's this constant struggle between the different groups, and it's just really wonderful. The characters individually mostly are absolutely amazing. Maybe a couple of the side characters, and stuff, they're not some of the greatest, but I don't think it's a flaw. I think it's just when they have things to say, they are great. It's great dialogue, very engaging, of course, and yeah, it's just full of heart, full of passion. The performances mostly are really flawless for me. I think maybe it could have been even better, and then it would have been an even better film for me. It would have been higher on my list. But really, for everything that's presented, and the way that, of course, the apes and the humans communicate in the film, and just how stunning this film is in so many areas, I think it is really a full mark film. We'll get to the score eventually, but yes, this film is so emotional. It really is. It's something that is so human. It's so powerful. Of course, it's about communication, survival, and stuff, and just making as well many statements. Again, about how humans, how they kind of rely on different things, and without that, they don't survive, and stuff, and also about how humans destroy humans, kind of thing. About war in general, it kind of makes different statements, stuff. And again, though, it's not one-sided, because it does have struggles within the apes groups as well. Groups of apes. Caesar, of course, and Koba. There's a constant kind of conflict after the kind of first, half an hour between these two characters, and it's kind of this really, really constantly compelling arc that Koba has, and it's just what happens there is Shakespearean. It is poetic. It's it's tragic, and it's constantly kind of it's so compelling, so engaging. And then of course you get the ending, which is just one of the best for me in modern cinema. It really is. The whole set piece at the end is an absolute masterpiece of cinema. It really is. Sustained action where the tension mounts, the stakes. You care about all these characters. You invested so much, and every single punch, every kick, and just every fall, everything. Within the action, it's just so you feel it. You feel it so much. Most of this, of course, CGI and stuff, and they just done it so well. Just the CGI in this film is so amazing. There's really very little flaws within that, and of course, as I say, war improves in it even more. I think really CGI in that, as I say, is flawless. And I usually, this is basically some of the very best CGI that I've seen. It really is wonderful. And of course, this film, it's always, about the characters, about what it says about humanity, and of course, it's not just, yeah, it's not just that. It really is. It's full of heart, and it's about communication, and it really is an all-round, pretty much flawless film. I think, as I say, it's just a couple of things that could maybe have been a bit, even better. I don't really have necessarily flaws, with that. It's just some of the human stuff, the side characters, and stuff. But yeah, it could have been even better, as I say, and it would have been, maybe even higher on my list. But as I say, of course, this is definitely into my top 250 films of all time. It's not. I'm not going to say what I prefer. This and the original, and of course War yet. But I think it's not miles apart really. In some areas, I think this is such a worthy sequel, of course, to Rise, and within the franchise, it really is at least one of the very best. Within this, and wow, in terms of action, and just drama as well, it's one of the best films of the 2010s. I think it really is a genius piece of filmmaking. It's wonderful in its direction. Matt Reeves really is the perfect choice. Was a perfect choice for this. So glad that he directed War as well. I was so excited to hear that happened. I think I was hoping they wouldn't get someone different in there because I love Dawn so much. And of course, once again he delivered the goods. Really stunning. So yes, this film. If you've not seen the film. Of course, you have to watch the whole trilogy, but yes, this film, for me, is much better than Rise. Would I recommend it? Absolutely. I think this film is a masterpiece. Just in its visuals, it's absolutely wonderful to look at. Of course, the commitment to the direction, the whole kind of the tone of the film, the narrative is just perfectly crafted. Really, the rise, of course, of different characters. The kind of underdogs, of course, and the tragedy of different moments, and just the communication and the failure to the communication of communication at the times in the film. It's different struggles throughout the film. It's just so compelling, so kind of up and down. It's not just a kind of predictable film in that sense. It really is Shakespearean, and it's kind of there's so many moments that are so emotional in the second half of the film. Of course, for me, the second half is even better than the first. This is completely mind blowing. The whole kind of the last hour of the film and the final act in particular, is just absolutely stunning. The way this comes together is so perfectly realised, and of course, all the performances really are absolutely stunning. The heart of this film, the warmth, the kind of the tender emotions that it evokes, and just the epic feel that this film has. The scope of it. This is a massive scope, and it's very. You could say, yeah, it's kind of smaller at times and more personal than Rise. Definitely, that's more kind of kind of big in many ways. But this is kind of a bit smaller, but then it feels more epic. It feels bigger in that sense, and it's just a perfect blend of drama and action. There's some comedy in there as well, and it's just so many compelling characters. Especially Koba and Caesar, of course, as well as always. And stuff. Jason Clarke is amazing in this film as Malcolm. Keri Russell. Very, very, compelling as well. Her performance, and it's just a masterpiece for me. Not much more to say. I think if you like Rise and you've not seen this film yet, I don't see how anyone would be disappointed. For me, it does everything that Rise done and improves on it in every way. Of course, it goes places, of course, that Rise for me couldn't do, and the filmmaking, of course, across the board. Is another level for me. This film is mind blowing. It really is. Just the dialogue, the kind of the communication theme that plays throughout the film, and just visually and in terms of the sound, the score, it really is something that is just overwhelming. Really, this film for me is a masterpiece, and I have to give it 100%. It doesn't quite get into my plus tiers, but again, this, as I say, is not kind of miles and miles off the original Planet of the Apes. I think I'm not going to say what I prefer, but this one, I've given it the same score, and it's kind of within the same sort of bracket, of my favourite films list. And yes, this film is absolutely stunning across the board. It really is something else. When I saw it, I was blown away, and I had to kind of rewatch, of course, to consider if it was, definitely a masterpiece. Kind of watch it on Blu-ray and stuff, but. Yeah, it really is. It is a masterpiece for me, visually and everything. It's a stunning film, and of course, just I was so invested, of course, you know, in the kind of the narrative, the exposition is just so great here, and just all the kind of the interactions with everyone involved. You know, it's quite a lot of kind of characters here, but it's perfectly balanced, really, and yeah, just an absolute masterpiece. Of course, Dawn, an absolute masterpiece, and of course, next and finally, we're here with War for the Planet of the Apes, 4K as well. So yes, a bit more controversial, as I say, but for me, you know, a stunning film. That I'm not going to say what yet, you know, prefer. You might find out on that review, and that will probably be, you know, within 2 weeks from now. So yes, cannot wait for that. You know, really cannot wait for this. So yes, thanks for watching my review of Dawn of the Planet of the Apes.